All right, today we sort of conclude our talk our journey through the Ten Commandments by looking at 9 and 10. Lutherans get a house deal on the 9th and 10th. If you notice, like Lutherans number them a little differently. Traditionally, before the Reformation, it was numbered where it was, and I'm going to challenge myself here, idolatry, name, Sabbath, parents, murder, adultery, stealing, testimony, and then the covetings, where after the Reformation it was not just our Reformation, Lutheran Reformation, but after that it kind of broke up the thou shalt have no other gods into two, and it made thou shalt have no other gods, thou shalt not have any images, and it merged the covetings into one. So we still keep the covetings as two. And so both are fine. You know, God didn't number them per se in Exodus. So, but you know, I like that it confuses Presbyterians that we number commandments this way. So it's fun. All right. Let me think. As you can see, we'll get to the meme in a second. All right. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not scheme to get our neighbor's inheritance or house, or get it in a way which only appears right, but help and be of service to him in keeping it. And then number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant or maidservant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not entice or force our neighbor's wife, workers, or animals, or turn them against him, but urge them to stay and do their duty. As you can see, I have a meme that perfectly represents this commandment. You can either stay on the highway and be content, or you can go after your neighbor's donkey. And obviously, we often choose our neighbor's donkey. All right, let us pray. God, we thank you for your law. Your law is good. May your law be both a curb to our evil, a mirror to show us where we're sinning, and an instruction to show us how we should live as Christians. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so how are we tempted to be dissatisfied with what we have? How are we tempted to be dissatisfied with what we have?
The entire culture.
The entire culture, yeah.
You need a new phone, you need a car, you need a...
Terry? I thought it was a practical joke. The welcome banner on there was blocking my interest in the church, and I thought Lenny was playing a joke on me. All right, sorry.
I was going to say keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses, yeah.
All the trappings of success are tied to what badge is on your car, you know, how big your home is,
Yeah.
where you live in, all those kind of things, which are completely false. The person that's happy with what they have is a person that's truly rich.
Is there anything that makes you feel dissatisfied with what you have? Making it personal. That's kind of early in the morning for open confessional time, but... And I got some stuff, but I'm going to wait till later to talk about that, because believe it or not, I struggle with coveting. All right, so what is coveting? Coveting is the sinful desire in our hearts to acquire for ourselves anything that belongs to our neighbor. It also is a desire to draw away from our neighbor for our benefit anyone or, I guess, thing who is important to our neighbor, a spouse, friends, employee, and so on. So, for example, James, what causes quarrels, what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You desire what you do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. And then a wonderful Luther quote, our natural instinct is that no one wants to see someone else have as much as himself. So in your own life, where do you struggle with this particular sin? Where do you feel your natural instinct of not liking others having more than yourself pop up?
When it seems like they haven't earned it.
What's that?
When it seems like
All right, now you can go.
when it seems like they haven't earned it.
Yeah, when it seems like they haven't earned. Oh, that's a good one. That's a whole nother sin I have in there. I didn't realize I even was mad about that, but now I'm mad about that. Thanks a lot. my neighbor, I'll leave her nameless. She's probably, and good for her. She's like 85, 88, just got done beating cancer. And I know she has kids, but she doesn't want to talk to them. And she had a husband, he died like probably 10, 15 years ago. Anyways, anyways, she comes driving home one day, and I look out my window, and this 87-year-old woman has a brand new Jeep Wrangler, like an awesome off-road Jeep. And I looked at her, and I'm like, my mouth drooled a little bit. I'm like, you're 85. Yeah, no. And so about the whole trying to draw something away from your neighbor, I've been really nice to her lately, hoping that since she's not really talking to her kids, that maybe, just maybe, and I've already hinted at her how much I love Jeeps, and so we'll see.
And you don't even know her, but she can get it out of a Jeep at 85.
I know, and when she initially bought, she can't. She got the things installed. She got steps installed, but initially she didn't have those. But I'm watching her. Every time she pulls out of the thing, I go, I watch her how health is doing, and I just kind of keep that window. She likes the finer things in life, yeah. but she's a hoot, and Kendra told her I like Jeeps, and she invited me over. She let me drive around the block. So, but no, I often, for me, I feel it. I felt it really hard. I confessed this in sermons before. I'm not really a car guy, but I like to have a car that reflects my personality. And so when my vibe after many, many years was starting to die, I got obsessed about cars. And then when I couldn't afford a car that I wanted, I noticed when I drive by cars that I liked, I got like viciously covetous. I would be like, this person, And Kendra would be nice. Well, I could get a full-time job and you can't afford that, but that kind of, so, she put me in perspective. But I did notice sometimes with things like cars or even like nice guitar amps, I can be very, very covety about. And just things, not the finer things in life, just the somewhat better things in life that,
Does it have to be a material thing?
It doesn't, no. I'm just a material girl who lives in a material
world.
world.
I was just thinking, I get jealous of people that still have siblings, because I no longer do.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's...
That could work, yeah. That could be a coveter. Yes. Yeah, it's coveting what people, an undue wanting of what other people still have. But that's understandable. I mean, that's something you got to take to God in prayer and lament about. I mean, 'cause that's deeper than a car,
Well, I just don't know if that's still considered.
Yeah. I would say feeling that hurt isn't, but like the distinct, I think you would know if when it drifts over to sin, when you get angry or embittered, that person still has them, or if that person complains about their siblings and you feel anger and you go, I think that's where you drift over into, And most of my time, like to make a stupid example, my neighbor's car, oh, good for her. Yeah, it's a really nice car. So that's okay. I would love to have that car. That's wonderful. I want that car. The difference, scheming to take it from her. All right. So how do we keep the 9th and 10th commandments? And these are some fun things from Luther, things I would have never thought about this commandment. So we fear and love God by not coveting our neighbor's possession in a way that appears proper or legal. So we fear and love God by not coveting our neighbor's possessions in a way that appears proper or legal. This includes not plotting to acquire our neighbor's possessions in a way that appears proper or legal. So woe to those who join house to house, who add field to field, until there is no room, and you are made to dwell alone in the midst of the land. Boy, that one is really pertinent to today as well. But what might be a way of coveting to or plotting to acquire, just for an everyday Joe, your neighbor's possession in a way that appears proper or legal? I never would have thought of that.
What pops to my mind is how people get very greedy when someone passes away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's legal.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm their child or their niece or whatever, and I should be entitled to this.
It's incredible, yeah.
People.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean I've seen that as a pastor at various deaths, yeah. Anybody else? Maybe if I'd be extra nice to my neighbor, maybe that would be.
Like driving her to the attorney's
Yeah. Oh,
office.
yeah. When she if she starts to get a little confused, yeah. Yeah, so not trying to acquire your neighbor's possessions in a way that's properly legal. That's funny that like the covetous stuff, like coveting your parents' thing, and then like maybe not having a proper relationship with them. When death happens, coming out of the woodwork, that is definitely one. B, not plotting to lure. I hate the word lure. Lure away our neighbor's house, or our neighbor's friends, spouse, or employees. God does not want you to deprive your neighbor of anything that belongs to him so that he should suffer loss, and you gratify your greed by it. This is true even if you keep it honorable before the world. So not plotting to lure away your neighbor's friends, spouse, or employees. Let's think of some examples that an everyday Christian might be tempted to do that. Trying to think my neighbors, my personal neighbors, spouses. Never tried to do that. One of the things I liked is that, do not deprive your neighbor of anything that belongs to him, so that she should suffer loss and you gratify your greed. I kind of like that. That's beyond coveting, but that description of coveting, because it's like, I think about your question, Leslie, too, is like, if I'm looking for my neighbor to lose something so that I can gratify my greed. So it's one thing to want what somebody has or think that somebody has is nice, but if it would involve that person losing that thing or me gratifying a greedy thing that I want in my heart, then that's where the sin and the problem comes in. Oh, I thought I heard a balloon deflating.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is these two examples here, not plotting for the fire, not plotting to lure away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's action.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Thinking about plotting, not to like you think about it, but like thinking about plotting how to do that is coveting, right?
Yeah.
Or is,
I think we might get to that next part. I think thinking is.
I mean, these are. I mean, like
They're
to acquire your neighbor's possessions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty evil. Right?
But I think
to actually physically do that. I mean, versus.
And that's what his take on this kind of it does, but I think it goes down to thoughts. Just like with how murder, there's the physical murder, but it goes all the way back to me being angry against my neighbor, and there's physical adultery, but it goes back to me lusting after somebody else. So I think of the Apostle Paul in Romans 7 is the one that comes to me. Where the law said, "Do not covet," and instantly the sinful desire came up. We could even read that because that'd be a good thing to read. But yeah, so there definitely is a thought. That's not simply me making a 5-step plan to steal my neighbor's Jeep and take it away. Yeah, there is a thought process.
What about the law allowing potentially frivolous lawsuits?
Yeah, I think that would totally fall under the legal,
Because technically you could be following the law, but if you're doing it out of spite.
Yeah.
In other words, in
Yeah.
theory, you would be breaking the commandment, correct?
Yeah. And me shooting from the hip here, I bet you when Luther wrote this, there was probably a lot of that going around, acquiring the land. I bet you there's something going on locally that, let's read Romans 7. I think make sure the next two. Yeah, let's read Romans 7 real quick. Where he uses covet. I mean, it totally hits thoughts. Yet if it had not been for the law, I would not have known sin. For I would not have known what it is to covet if the law had not said you should not covet. So the law tells us what sin is. And we'll talk about this a little bit next week. But sin, seizing an opportunity through the commandment, produced in me all kinds of covetousness. For apart from the law, sin lies dead. I was once alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came alive, sin came alive, and I died. Definitely coveting is on a thought level. So 2, and this is the positive element of the commandment, we fear and love God by being satisfied with what he provided us and others. And so this includes being thankful for all God has given us. I always love the Ephesians 4:6 do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. Being thankful for what God has given us. Does anybody have trouble with being thankful? Do you ever feel thankless sometimes, or what's the opposite of thankfulness? I guess dissatisfied. I keep thinking that sounds like in the helium balloon blower. Are you doing a helium balloon thing in there? Oh, okay. I thought that was the sink. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my diagnosable mental condition. So, anyways, focus. So I guess dissatisfied would be the opposite of thankfulness. Sometimes for me personally, where I struggle with is being intentionally thankful. So, where I'm thankful in sort of a day-to-day sense, but taking time aside to thank God, whether that's for my food, for, the different things. And I've noticed in my life when I do that more, instances of coveting. So I think, even though I wouldn't be dissatisfied, but not being actively or intentionally thankful can sometimes be a problem.
I think you always pray more when you want something.
Yeah.
Than to just say thank you.
Yeah, desperate. Yeah. Yeah. True that. Yeah. Yeah. And so, what are some habits we can engage in to help foster Thanksgiving in our hearts? I mean, there's the obvious. I think my wife once did a thing like a Thanksgiving journal where at the end of the day you write down all the things you're thankful for. It kind of gives you eyes to see.
The past is nowhere to live, but if you think back years ago, before you owned a home, before you had reliable transportation, before you could go to any restaurant you wanted to. Whenever, going to Wendy's was a big deal.
Yeah.
You think from that perspective, based on where you are today, I think it's pretty easy to get thanks.
Yeah. It's Ethiopian today, by the way. It's really good. You should really try it and change your life. All right. Yeah, here's one for you. We could I guess that'd be the next one, but let's do B. Helping others retain what God has given them and encouraging their spouse. I just love it if you do this generically. You should stay with your husband and not cheat on. Yeah. Encouraging their spouse and workers to remain faithful and loyal. And so I was thinking about, when I look at the first one too, we fear and love God by being satisfied with what He's provided us and others, and then we help others retain. Almost it'd be fun to do a prayer experiment of thanking God for providing others with things. So for example, thanking God that, and I keep up, it's totally a silly example, but it's just a funny one. Thanking God that my neighbor at 80 plus can get in and out of her Jeep and that she's healthy enough to enjoy that thing. And even though maybe it's not the best way to spend her money right now, but still that she can afford that. See, I can't even be that. I can't even stay. Anyways, but yeah, being thankful that my neighbor can do that. But that's a silly one. But really, I mean, that's something I never thought of before. Actually praying Thanksgiving for your neighbor or for somebody in your church for having something.
I think you'd be more thankful for what you have. If you and your neighbor both got tires at the same time, let's say, and it's only tire. She's sitting there in her Jeep spending $1,200, and you're there in your Kia or whatever, and you're spending $800.
That's true. I think that's true. Actually, I recently bought ones for my Kia. I got 600 ones. But that's because I couldn't afford the nice ones, so I coveted the nice ones.
Half of what you spent. Guarantee you. Furthermore, Stellantis is on the verge of bankruptcy. They're not looking good right now.
Yeah, and plus,
cheap.
Yeah, and then I've heard numerous times that Chrysler cars are just they break down too quickly. So it's not a practical desire. It's just it's a total parents thing. If I just want to be off road and it's a thing that goes back.
Maybe one of these guys that never washed your Jeep up and got mud.
Yeah, I want to be. It's an image thing. I think it comes from Point Break movie when I was younger. Just want to be that cool guy with, I don't know, who had the surfboard in the back, I think it's a thing. It's a thing, and maybe when I'm 50, you're gonna see me pull up in one. Yeah. Put it in the back of my Kia. Just drop the kids off at soccer. Now I'm gonna go surfing. Sorry.
It's a nice wooden size on that key.
Oh, it is nice. Yeah, and it's from my mother-in-law, and it's wonderful. But it does I struggle with it because it's an image thing. Like I get in there, I'm like, oh, the wood paneling on the side. I'm like, oh, I'm getting ready to drive to, Bob Evans to have dinner with. I don't know. All right, you're getting a peer into my covetous heart that I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. Like the Corolla, my Toyota Corolla, I still feel kind of young when I get into that. I still feel good. But when I get in the Kia, I feel stiff. All right. I feel trapped. All right. So helping others retain what God has given them and encouraging their spouse and workers to remain faithful. The Apostle Paul says once again in Philippians, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you not only look to his own interests, but also the interests of others. I love that. That's such a good verse. We must gladly wish and leave our neighbor what he has. Also, we must advance and preserve for him what may be for his profit and service, just as we wish to be treated. So looking at that Philippians passage, and think about the whole dynamic of coveting, how could you use a passage like that to kind of short-circuit coveting? So look at words, look at that. How can you short-circuit coveting or covetous thoughts with that?
If you're focused on others,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
obviously less focused on yourself.
Yeah.
So that would help.
Do something nice for others.
Yeah. I like the in humility count others as more significant than yourselves. That's something that's easy to do lip service to, but in my heart, it's harder. But it's like if I'm in humility, counting others more than myself and asking God for that hard state, and working both ways there, there's something there that I feel like if I legitly believed that, coveting would go down more because obviously I'm really don't struggle this bad with the Jeep. It's just a kind of a joke. But see, if I counted that woman as more than myself, then well, heck, good for her. Like that. But I mean, in a real coveting sense, that would be something. Again, not looking out to my own interests, but the interest of others.
Go over and wash and wax it for you.
Yeah,
Do something nice for
that's
her,
true.
and you'll get over it.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, I think there's something there. If I never would have put that verse in with the coveting thing, but when I think about that, and that was put in there by one of my sources I was going off of, like that really is. If you took that to heart, coveting would deflate faster than these balloons. That's pastors. You look for sermon illustrations all the time. All right, so I've already kind of talked about this with my own. So you all need to do some confessing. I've really been open here with you. In your own life, when are you, this is curious. In your own life, when, there's a highlight there, when are you especially susceptible to coveting? Because I've noticed in my life it goes up and down. So when do you find yourself susceptible or especially susceptible to covet or desire what other people have? Is there any kind of like emotional place where you need to be watchful of that sin?
If you can't afford something like that, I wish we could update the bathroom or put in
Yeah.
a pool or something, and then your neighbor
Gets put in the
down
bathroom,
road
yeah.
is,
It's always that neighbor
redoing
down the
their basement
road.
and putting in a pool, and it's like, how in the world are they affording that, It's,
They don't deserve it. They just they gotta be going into debt, yeah.
Right.
They're not financially responsible
Right.
like me. Yeah, I hear you. But yeah. Yeah, if there's something, and not that there's ever anything that needs done in the parsonage. Thank you guys. But if there's something that something you go, that'd be nice to have that, and then your neighbor gets it. There's always that, yeah. So being aware, yeah. But yeah, I'd say sometimes for me it's if I'm in a bad place mentally, I'm more open to coveting. If I'm sort of just in this sort of discouraged place, I got to be watchful of that sin,
I would say sometimes when the struggle is hit.
Yeah.
Because, the car breaks down.
plumbing issues. Not speaking it specifically.
Just want things to work, like everyone else's house does.
Your neighbor flushes their toilet, and you're like, "How dare that person have a toilet that flushes?" Yeah.
That would be when the struggle is there.
The struggle.
Struggle.
How dare we? How dare I want to have a dog with no flushes? Yeah, but it totally, totally is. It's funny. The coveting thing hit for me. I never noticed it in my 20s. Never noticed it in my 30s. Started to notice a little more, maybe like 39, and I hit 40. I noticed coveting becoming more of an issue. And so it's still it was noosing. You discover you're like an onion. You have different layers, and so I noticed that being a thing in my 40s. And I think some of it is, and I'm not being like a martyr, but some of it is as a pastor, you have to make some intentional choices to not get certain things. And I don't know if your dad had ever had that where it's like, you just got to, and so when you see people your age, you fulfilling some of their financial dreams, you go, and you kind of just you get a little whatever. And so I noticed that was something that was never an issue when I was younger, but it was something that became something when I was, And again, and that's not for not living comfortably. That's not for not. My coffee habit, for example, that I drink like a king, and so it's not like I'm not getting paid enough, and it's not like I'm not getting enough. I have more than enough, and considered the rest of the world, I'm rich. But then when I look at my friend from high school who, whatever, and you're like, and so then again, it's a lack of faith, and
I think too, like when it's sort of in your face all the time. I'm not on social media, but I'm thinking, people see everything on social media.
And everything's always done good too.
Right, and it looks better than it really is.
Yeah, that's social,
And then too, just if you're around things that you don't have, that others have.
Yeah.
And it's just there, and you see it.
It's weird,
Especially this time of year with Christmas coming. All you see are ads and your mailbox is stuffed full of things that, everybody has this.
I'm still so thankful the political ads are done, so I'm still okay with that. But
I think you can see the other side too, when people have too much.
Yeah.
If you're really objective, through one of the boards, they have a friend that dad's extremely welcome to do business. Owns a private jet, goes anywhere in the world he wants to, and he has to drop a hat. And at times, my son would say, "Dad, wouldn't that be cool?" And I said, "I don't want that kind of pressure in my life." I said, "The headaches that this gentleman and his wife and his company deal with, I don't want any parts of that, quite frankly." And I said, it takes a lot to keep all that together. And I said, I wouldn't want that on my plate. I like to live a lot simpler than that. And if I never have a jet, I'm great with that. Because I'm happy to drive places.
We'll take a Jeep instead.
Maybe we'll have to discuss this offline. But anyway, fast forward, sadly, things for that family absolutely imploded.
Yeah.
Divorces, the whole thing just fell apart, and it's a great heartache because I like these folks. I really do. They're great people, but I think it's a function of you're trying to spin too many plates, and at some point it all comes crashing down. And at what point is it worth your sanity? Don't need a BMW. It's just extra trips to the dealership because the Germans make everything way too complicated.
Yes, including Lutheranism.
All is great, but overcomplicated bad. So I think you can see that too.
They are fun to drive.
I'm sure they are.
I had one before I got married, and then that ended.
Rachel, as a child of the 90s, what famous rapper had something to say about that? We've talked about him before. Do you remember Notorious B.I.G.? I've quoted him before in this a couple of years ago. Mo money, mo problems. The more money you have, the more problems you get, and that's true. The more possessions you have.
This whole catalog.
That's true. I can't fully scale his other songs, but that song totally hit the nail on the head. The more money you got, the more problems you have. I should have had that on here. I'll quote that for next time we do it here.
I can tell you really notice how much stuff you have.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You're trying to downsize.
Yeah.
That's when you really know, and then you think, okay, I've purged this, then you go back and you purge again, you purge again, and you purge again, because you know that you can only take this much stuff with you. Like, do you need 4 sets of sheets? Well,
You never know. Yes, yeah.
Do you need, 300 books? No,
Just 100. Yeah.
just a few. But I mean, that's when you really
Yeah.
realize everything.
Yeah.
When you have to prioritize, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a pile here, and a pile here, and a pile here.
Yep.
I know when PK was moving, Pastor Keller was moving, he said everybody should pretend they're moving every 5 years, just to go through the house
Yeah.
and simplify, and because it is quite a cleansing process.
I still like the saw Kendra at the thing the other day. Yeah, Kendra's really into decluttering and minimalism, and she's actually thinking of maybe starting a business for that. Tag on that, we'll get that started. I'll send you the social media hooks, but helping people, declutter. You know about that too. But she's never gotten into this one. But I always like the idea of you ever hear of Swedish death cleaning?
Death?
Yeah, Swedish death cleaning. Yeah, it's when you turn 50, you clean out I think it's something like as if you're going to die, what you want to leave, and you clean everything else out, and you get rid of it. Yeah, so you act like it's depressing, but there's probably that cleansing element to it too, where it's like, what I can't take with me, I'm throwing away. Yeah.
By 50, that's when you can finally start to enjoy the things.
There's different schools of thought there. Yeah. I mean, the Swedes are a very meticulous people. I mean, this is all right. What are some reasons? All right, let's have some fun. Let's finish. If I did this with the kids, so let's name 10, and you can do this to yourself too. Name 10 things for which I'm going to turn this off. We're going to call this a day here. So at home, name 10 things you are grateful for, and then turn it into a prayer. So let's